Honorable Minister, before I invite one or two comments, well, not comments, actually, we want questions from the audience. Would you like to speak to any of the feedback you've received? Please don't focus on what my senior brother, the governor of Osun State, said. I mean,
well, I think, like you said, it's sometimes Arsenal Manchester right now, so that's okay. Now, let me start with the input supply system, and where I disagree with respectfully with His Excellency the Governor of Osun State. We met at the National Council of Agriculture. We had a fantastic meeting in Ogun State. And every single commissioner for agriculture was there, and every single governor has supported it. In fact, we saw in every single state significant shift in the number of farmers that were getting fertilizers, a lot. I must say that the role of federal government is not to take over and say states cannot do complementary support. In other words, it's not my job to make sure that 100% of the farmers in every state get fertilizers. States can do what they can do to support their farmers. But that information that nobody got it in Osun State is actually not correct. Let me say that what is it that has gotten us so excited about this with the fertilizer supply system? Obviously, if state governments bought fertilizers and distributed fertilizers, you heard Governor Obi saying that. What was the problem we were finding? We were finding problems that, first it displaced the private sector, so government was doing it. That's not the job of government. Government business is not to be a business. And so when you do that, you displace them. The fertilizer companies don't have a supply chain. After all, Coca-Cola and Fanta is not bought and sold by government, but it's everywhere in the country. So government has to get out of the way. Secondly is the fact that those seed companies and fertilizer companies have to build a supply chain that reaches that farmer, that reaches that village. That's the key. And so far with the fertilizer and the seed systems that we've developed today, you've seen that. You ask Notori, you ask TAC Fertilizer, you ask all the big players, you got all the seed companies. They are today building their supply chain to reach those farmers. That is how agriculture works. And we're not in a Soviet economy. We are in a market-driven economy. The third thing I want to say is what the financing system. I think my colleague Minister Segun Agonga in the last panel, when you were all talking about the commodity exchanges, the very fact that the private sector sees a money trail and then follows it, and the banks like IGE, and others lend to it. What happened, with this system last year? The fertilizer company sold 15 billion naira worth of fertilizers, not to government, but straight to the farmers. That's the way it should be. The seed company sold 1.5 billion naira worth of seed straight to them. And as a result of that, the banks and IGE has been phenomenal in actually helping us with Sanusi Lamido in thinking through innovative ways of getting bank financing. The banks put in 3.5 billion naira last year to support this system. Well, Sanusi Lamido and I called a meeting of all the bank MDs in Lagos, and we asked them, what was your loss rate on this? And Main Street Bank is here, and IBCC, and everybody's here. And the response was the same, 0%. 0%. Now you tell me of any program that you develop, usually you start at the high level of loss and then you go down. You start in the first year and you have that. And now this year, the banks are putting 25 billion naira from 3.5 billion into this program. So the fact, what I'm saying is that it's like building a house. You may want to live in a, in a skyscraper, but you've got to get the foundations right. Main Street Bank, for example, last year they were at 200 million naira. This year they opened up 10 billion naira facility for this particular program. So I think the point I'm trying to make, Aij, is the fact that there are a number of systemic issues that we are addressing. We are addressing input supply, we are addressing finance, we are addressing commodity exchange issues, we are addressing infrastructure. The Minister of National Planning yesterday talked about the National Integrated Master Plan for Infrastructure. And this is all part of what we are doing to reduce the cost of doing business in agriculture. I also want to give one advice. And that advice is this. You know, agriculture, we can't do it in a very, very disorganized manner. You can clear all the land you want, and people will still not farm. The reason is that you need to have off-takers. You need businesses that are there that are actually going to buy the feedstock, that are going to process that, utilize it. Take, for example, Agbadu. When I approached His Excellency, the governor of Kogi State, I said, Your Excellency, please don't just do land clearing and cassava production. Let's get some world-class investors there that can process that cassava into starch. And then we call Cargill, which is the world's largest manufacturer. They're there. 15,000 hectares, right? The farmers are organized into growers. They are producing cassava. They're going to be supplying it straight into Cargill. They process that. They make it into sweeteners. They're going to have a 30,000 ton, a metric ton sweetener plant that supplies sweeteners to Coca-Cola, Nigeria. President of Manufacturers of Nigeria, I saw him here this morning. And you look different because you are not in your car. So, but, you know, as the president knows that this is what we are doing. That is the way in which you create markets. That's what Governor of Cross River said, that you create markets and opportunities for farmers. Now, I do want to say something with regard to infrastructure, because the Minister of Water Resources is here, Minister of Power is here. They're going to talk in the next panel. You know, President said it yesterday. If you don't have power, you can't process anything. Agro-processors can work. The manufacturing industry can work. The kind of industrialization plan that my colleague Segun Agonga is trying to put in place can work if we don't have power. Irrigation facilities is crucial for us to intensify. We should produce in season and out of season, for which we need irrigation infrastructure. We need ICT. It's very crucial for us. So it's that part of it. But I want to also pick up on something that Governor Moke said, although we actually love coming to your state for the carnival. It's on the palm oil. I think this is important. For palm oil, for example, in 1964, Nigeria was producing about a little over 500,000 metric tons of palm oil. Crude palm oil. Malaysia was nowhere to be found. Indonesia wasn't anywhere to be found. There were about 100,000 metric tons. Today, you look at Malaysia, they are producing 20 million metric tons, right? And we are about 800,000 metric tons. That's why we decided as a government that whole value chain has to be totally changed. First is to recapitalize the plantation. And people ask the question, Minister, if you give people these private estates, all these improved high-yielding Canara seedlings, what are they going to do with it? I said, well, they're not going to eat it. It's in Nigeria. We capitalize our own plantations. Today we have Okomu there. We have Presco. We have PZ Cousins. We have people investing, IDG from South Africa, investing $250 million in plantations. A number of them actually in your state. And that's actually very fantastic. In Cross River State, you produce a lot of pineapples. Today we have, Nigeria actually produces 920,000 metric tons of pineapples. We are the number one in the world, in Africa, number 8 in the world. But we import pineapple juice. We produce 800,000 metric tons of mangoes. We're the largest in Africa. But we import, mango juice. And that's why we are excited that Dancer Food, Aliko Dangote's company, gone to Cross River. You've given me the land, 6,000 or more actually hectares. They are doing the MDG2. They have a plant there with $45 million investment to process. All I'm saying is this. You know, opportunities exist for those that take it. And we are expanding that space tremendously through the private sector. And I just want to urge every single state governor to take advantage of the massive transformation. I know I went to Kogi State. I've gone to Kebbi State. He invested in Kebbi State massively in infrastructure. I saw all the roads there. Kogi State governor invested a lot in clearing land. He saw all the things that happened from Adani to, Omo rice mill. In the governor's state, there is a mill there called Omo rice mill. The Omo rice mill was built, I think, how many years ago?
By Shariff government.
Yes. 1983. That rice mill has worked 10 hours in 10 years. Because of a number of issues, and I met with him. And the issues are what? First and foremost, there needed to be a road to link that rice mill to the market. Second, the infrastructure for irrigation. The head race canal needed to be fixed, and we've talked to him about fixing them. Power, they needed to have a 33 kV line to actually power the pumps in that particular system, which we are working together with him to fix. All I'm saying is this: we will continue to work and make sure that agriculture succeeds in every state. Every state has comparative advantage. No state has comparative advantage in producing poverty. We have to create massive amount of wealth. And I know that even my brother, the governor of Osun State, we talked actually before we came in here, and I said to him that he has an ambition of feeding Lagos. But if you're going to feed Lagos, you have to have structured private sector investors that are there in staple crop processing zones, that are the off-takers, that are creating market opportunities, because nobody will go into a business in which there is no market for it. Thank you very much.